Thanks everyone for being here. I'm going to speak up so that you guys can, come on over close. So I don't have a microphone right now, but I will speak up, and there will be a microphone portion of the event later, so you'll be able to hear all of the musicians talk about their pieces that they made tonight. But I will do a little bit of a formal introduction first. So if I've never met you, my name is Roz Cruz, and I'm the Associate Curator of Programs here at the Williams College Museum of Art. So I'm honored to welcome you as we gather together in this space at Williams College, which we respectfully acknowledge sits on the ancestral homelands of the Stockbridge-Munsee Mohicans, who are the indigenous peoples of the region now called Williamstown. Following tremendous hardship after being forced from their valued homelands, they continued as a sovereign tribal nation in Wisconsin, where they reside today. We pay honor and respect to their ancestors, past and present, as we commit to building a more inclusive and equitable space for all. So tonight, this is part 2 of a 4-part series called Construct Your Own Meaning, where I've invited artists that take the form of different things like beer brewers, musicians, cake bakers, and young people in our community. I've invited them to interpret pieces from our collection here at the museum. And so what you're going to see tonight is these incredible musicians and DJ. Where's our DJ? DJ Taraka, who is here, is going to present a set at the end of the night, sort of encapsulating remixing from her perspective. So each participant in the series is doing that in these different ways. And so tonight we kind of have a concert. It's a little bit an unusual kind of collective concert. And I wanted to tell you a bit about how it came together. So when I started thinking about this program several months ago, I wanted to work with musicians, but I also knew that I'm not a musician, and I'm not a curator of musicians, and I'm new to this area. I moved here from Florida about 1.5 years ago, so I wanted to work with somebody who knows the region, knows the musicians here very well. So that's where Andrea Belair came into the picture. And I met Andrea when we were working together at the Clark last year, and I've since gotten to know her through this project. She's incredibly thoughtful and deliberate as a person who's truly committed to creating platforms for musicians in New England. A touring musician herself, she became acquainted with DIY spaces and venues where innovative musicians were congregating and performing together. This inspired her to establish Belltower Records, a record shop and music venue here in this area at the NORAD Mill building in North Adams, which she now runs with her partner, Wesley Nelson. When I approached her about working together on this, she expressed enthusiasm about giving musicians the opportunity to perform in the museum with financial support that might not always be possible in other kinds of venues. And I think that we both really enjoyed the chance to highlight historic works of art by asking contemporary musicians to engage with those artists and artisans from the past. So before I pass the mic over to Andrea, I wanted to introduce you to the musicians that are performing upstairs tonight. So I also need you to know that we've been working together as a group for a couple months, several months, and they met with the curators of the Remixing exhibition. And during that Zoom meeting, it was one of the most heartwarming meetings I've been to, and everyone on the call was inspired and engaged in what it means to build community through music, art, and museums. So here they are. We have Lemuel Marc, who will perform a trumpet piece inspired by Turquoise Dyson's In the Middle of the Ocean water table. Lemuel. Father Hotep, who will perform an exploration of Black angst inspired by 2 pieces in our collection, Head of Devotee and Crucifixion. DJ Rec, who will present a sound collage inspired by whistle in the form of a jaguar. Follow. Mirabel Thompson Boyer, who will perform a composition inspired by Sam Gilliam's Situation 6, Pisces 4. And Wednesday Knudsen, oh, sorry, Mirabel. And Wednesday Knudsen, who will perform a alto sax piece inspired by Louise Nevelson's Skyway. And I want you to know that we're going to move from piece to piece without a lot of context, but after that, you'll have a chance to talk to the musicians at the reception. We'll also have a sort of informal but brief Q&A so you can hear why they picked the things they picked. Andrea, do you want to say any words?
Sure. Okay. Well, first, so my name is Andrea. Yeah, I co-own Belltower Records in North Adams with my husband, Wesley Nelson. But I'm very honored and humbled that Roz asked me to be a part of this, so thank you, Roz. Roz is wonderful. But yeah, in selecting musicians for this exhibition, I was looking at regional, or at least semi-regional, sort of people who could maybe make it here. And as Roz had mentioned, a little bit of a better opportunity or more visible platform than our record store. We do have events at our shop. A lot of it, I was thinking of remixing in the traditional sense, as in taking, in traditional sense, in the musical sense of the term, sort of taking sound or from other compositions and arranging them into a new one. I was thinking of that, but I sort of was expanding a little bit too. People of different backgrounds, so like a nice mix of different genres and people who had a different set of life experiences that would sort of inform their creative lens through which they will make their performance. And also people who I haven't seen here in Williamstown or in a fine arts museum that I think deserve to be here. So everyone seems very thoughtful, and I thought everyone that is involved really deserves to be in a museum like this. So that's it.
Thank you.
Isn't it fantastic that if there is no purpose, you have nothing to fulfill, you can just live? No, but you want a purpose. And not a simple purpose, you want a God-given purpose. It's very dangerous. People who think they have a God-given purpose are doing the cruelest things on the planet. That's what they are doing the most horrible things, and they've always been doing the most horrible things. Because when you have a God-given purpose, life here becomes less important than your purpose.
He behaves as one expects a doctor behaves. He may even identify himself with it and believe that he is what he appears to be. Yeah. He must appear in a certain form, unless people don't believe that he's a doctor. And so when he's a professor, he's also supposed to behave in a certain way so that it is plausible that he is a professor, you know. So the persona is partially the result of the demands society has. And on the other side, it is a compromise with what one likes to be, or with what, or as one likes to appear. So, yeah.
Yes or no? If yes, how best to realize him in this life? It's a lovely question, isn't it? Kindly give a straight reply. Does God exist or not? Yes or no? If yes, how best to realize him in this life? Throughout history, from the ancient Greeks, from the ancient Sumerians, have this idea of
From 1 to the side, from 2 to the side, 3 to the side, from 4 to the side, from 5 to the side, to the side.
be abused. It's the same what thing to be a prostitute. Life was given to us just to do the right thing. Instead, I became my
Okay, well, let's give all of these musicians a round of applause, please. So we're just going to speak for a couple minutes, and this is really an opportunity for you to hear from them why they chose the object they chose, and then how their musical interpretation sort of connects to the piece. So I want to start by saying I'm so happy that you're all here and willing to listen to these stories, and also just think the best part about this for me is that I live with these objects here every day, like my colleagues and I do, and so it's so cool to see you interpret them in a totally new way, and that's not going to leave me in my body. I'll just say that. It's very, very cool and special, so thank you. And I'll just start by asking, Andrea, do you have any final thoughts you want to share about your curatorial practice, or sort of a remark to make?
Oh, sure. Aside from what I already sort of said, I grew up sort of locally, and went away and came back to the area. But yeah, I grew up in a low-income family, as many people in the area do. There's a lot of lower-income people in the area. Williamstown, not necessarily. So I did. A lot of times I was sort of not able to be in these spaces, so or didn't really know that I could access them. And even now, there is sort of sometimes a gated sort of situation in a lot of academia in general too, fine arts museums. But yeah, so I think a lot about that, but and I like to try to help take down those walls a little bit. I also am an archivist and work in special collections and stuff, and that's sort of been a big part of what I do professionally in that area too. So try to make things accessible and less intimidating. So.
Thank you. Wednesday, would you tell us about your piece since we just ended with it?
Hi. I worked with a piece called Skywave by Louise Nevelson, and I initially chose it because I found it intriguing to see this sort of stark object at first glance called a skywave. I wasn't quite sure how that could be. And then by interacting with the piece and looking at it more closely, spending time with it and reading a little bit about Nevelson herself, I came to appreciate, admire, and relate deeply to her process.
Thank you. Lemuel, you want to share?
So my piece was entitled "In the Middle of the Ocean," and usually I'm very skeptical of just how people name their things, just in general. And I was very intrigued by this piece because it's a very abstract. This is the score I was working with, but it's kind of an abstract piece, and I just love that it's called like "In the Middle of the Ocean," because to me, to me this is not an ocean, but I think that's like the best part about it, where we're all human and we can interpret things differently. So I guess that was kind of the main inspiration for my piece, where I'm kind of working with all these different musical events, and I'm trying to manipulate them in different ways. And I was actually, I guess another large component was I took this class at my school this year. It was just on like electroacoustic music, and we're just like, one of the projects was just like taking like a sample of something and just like finding like 101 ways to manipulate that piece. And it got to a point where I was just like, yeah, any sound can be anything if you like manipulate it enough. So I just thought that was kind of interesting, where it's like, yeah, so maybe this doesn't look like an ocean to me, but obviously it does look like an ocean to someone else. So I think that's just a really beautiful thing, that it's like, I don't know. I guess that's all I have to say about it, but yeah.
Thank you. Mirabel, will you tell us about your piece?
Yeah, hi. So I chose the Sam Gilliam Situation 6 Pisces 4, and I played a piece. It was I played two pieces. There's an arrangement by Schubert called The Trout, which is from a quintet, and then I played Meditation by Massenet, which is from the opera Thais. And so, yeah, I really loved the piece's colors and the fabric, and it reminded me of the shifting, because that the meditation goes up very high and like comes down. It's very sweeping, and it reminded me of the folds in the fabric, and it can be very bright, and I like the colors of the pink and the orange, and I don't know, it just reminded me a lot of that, and it was a great opportunity to kind of connect those and play it. But yeah.
Thank you. Michael, would you tell us about your piece?
The description is black angst, but I found when I was editing it yesterday and this morning that I was finding a lot of, and this is something that I approached before, but a lot of my music in general deals with like euphoric action, and the God semantic was like the thing that came up as like the centerfold for like how the art, because a lot of especially my public performances, are like conceptual like arcs. And this, I mean, my music's played in like basements and stuff, you know? And so the coming into this space and having the opportunity to interact with, as someone who grew up in the evangelical church, did a lot of wrestling, and then came to like Vedic practice, it was those two, specifically the crucifixion and the head of the devotee, highlighted where we meet about what God is. And it was really a pleasure to create that space in my heart and then share that and offer that perspective.
Thank you. Carlos?
I chose the Jaguar. I thought about it from the Mayan perspective and thinking about power, the association with kings and this level of royalty and the fierceness. And I tried to create a soundscape, as I would call it, considering my narrative, you know, growing up and seeing a lot of things that I wish I never did and experience a level of darkness, you know, throughout my early years, and then having the opportunity to change my life around, become an educator for the last 20 years and incorporate visuals and audio to offer a space like folks are doing here, and learning myself along the way. And I always say that I'm in healing, and I'm always grateful to share whatever it is that I'm able to share the narrative of what I've been through, and to talk about the darkness with light, and not to sensationalize the situations, but to consider the beauty in the struggle. So, thank you.
Thank you. So this installation of our permanent collection is called Remixing the Hall. So originally, I think the curators, two of them are here. Are you here? No? They're around. They were thinking about DJ culture, and so I thought we could finish this evening with a DJ set by Taraka Larson, who is here. Would you tell us a bit about what we're about to experience outside on the patio?
Whew, yeah. What are we about to experience? Well, I appreciate you inviting me to be a part of this. I feel like there's this kind of synesthetic link with music and art, and just looking at an exhibition in general and the way it's curated, thinking about it in terms of like a DJ set list and the kind of flow of energy that goes and connects all these pieces from disparate spaces and times. And I kind of approach DJ sets in that way too. To answer your question, I don't know what's going to happen, because I usually just improvise. But I was, very inspired to hear, all these pieces tonight, and so cool. And very inspired by the Jaguar piece as well. I work a lot with, I do like visual art as well, and make kind of giant lion sculptures. So I feel this affinity with just big cats as power animals. And so maybe thinking about the DJ set in the eyes of this small but powerful jaguar figure navigating through these different spaces and times. And we'll see what happens.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Let's go outside.